Maybe till now we cannot produce any kind of so-called advanced chips fully by ourselves. But without our rare earths, you can't do it either. China wants to show muscles. Of course, we want to send very clear signals to Washington. We have enough tools, but such kind of policy is a defensive policy, which means we will not make the first move until you make the first move, and then we will counter it back. In October the 9th, the China Ministry of Commerce launched about 7 announcements. It's how to say, you can say it's not kind of retaliation, it's kind of defense policy. China take a very interesting, you can say it's unsymmetric counterback measures. We use the rare earth supply chain as a leverages to launch the counterback. These real actions, the main reason trigger China side's action is after we met in Madrid and till this October, in about 20 days, United States takes 3 or 4 those unilateral actions to do damages on China's business and technical companies. We cannot, how to say, take nothing on that actions. We need to make response. We try to stop this wrong direction, these wrong actions, so that we can push forward this bilateral relationship back to a more healthy and normal tracks. We just doing a mirror retaliations, which means we duplicate US sanction policy toward China and the entities outside China's territories. If they use the technologies and the productions on rare earths, and these technologies and productions coming from China, they need to got our license before they can export their final productions to United States. Let's take, for examples, TSMC, those semi-production factories located in the island of Taiwan. If they want to continue their advanced logic chips to United States, or to providing the chips to NVIDIA, they need to go to the license from China side. That's the first. And the second, we took it very clearly. If you, these final productions will be used in scenarios like artificial intelligence. And this artificial intelligence has potentially dual use, which means can be used for military purpose. You need to go to the license. That means if United States want to launch a kind of advanced technology, AI centers, computing centers, use those chips produced by those entities, use the rare earth elements or tools and technologies from China side, you need to go to license from Beijing. And third, we use a logic named subjective deny, which means in 3 different scenarios, like the dual use, the final military use, and so on. We say that even if you're providing the application for the license, we will say no, we will not providing you this license. Let's take it more specifically. We're talking about this kind of scenarios. Some entities, they importing rare earth productions and equipment from China side, from mainland China side, and then produce it as an important component into kind of weapons. And then they sell these weapons to Taiwan Island and encourage Taiwan independence. That means you use these military technologies to do damages to China's core national interest. And such kind of behaviors will be forbidden, which means we will not allow you to production military weapons and use it to do damage to China's national security by using any kind and any component of rare earth elements or technologies from mainland China. That's a very clear, very precise framework. Its target is very precise. And its leverage is very smart, because at quite a long time, United States believe they have so-called advanced chips. They can sabotage of any kind of advanced chips to be exported to mainland China according to their willingness. And mainland China cannot do anything to launch an effective counterback. But this time, China uses rare earth supply chain, sending them a waking up call, say that, yes, maybe till now we cannot produce any kind of so-called advanced chips fully by ourselves, but without our rare earth, you can't do it either. You cannot produce any advanced chips by your industries because you're heavily dependent on China's sufficient supply of these rare earth productions. And China, based on our technologies, we have the overwhelming advantages of the production of these rare earth elements related productions, over 90% of the whole world. You can just try. You can just try to challenge our advantages on these things. If you have enough capacities, please just do it. But if you can't, so the only suggestion for your side is just to act under the normal tracks. Stop doing those stupid things. Stop to trigger the anger from the Beijing side and try to make everything go back to a more healthy dialogue and communication track. It will be benefit for all related parties. This defense policy providing a very clear framework. The first, from China's side, we want to launch an eco deal, which means no one will get extra advantages by using those coercive policy represented by Washington's unilateral sanction policy on exporting high technologies and adding more China enterprise into the so-called entry list so that will do damage to their exporting and the business models. And the second, China wants to show muscles. Of course, we want to send very clear signals to Washington. We have enough tools. We have enough measures to countering any coercive policy from the Washington side. So please don't take wrong mistake. Don't take wrong actions. You need to take a very clear understanding how much muscles and the measures China side have. You need to respect China's core interest. You need to take a proper attitude during that negotiation because both sides are equal. You should not want more on the desk, while at the same time you got benefit from China's goodwillness on the other side. Simultaneously, you take wrong actions to do damages to China's core interest. That's unfair. We want a fair play. We don't want to have an unfair play. If you continue use these unilateral coercive policies, will touch the China side's counterback measures. You have the advanced chips, but we have these rare earth supply chain technologies. We have enough capacities to stop, if necessary, your production of so-called advanced chips. It's kind of retaliations. But such kind of policy is a defensive policy, which means we will not make the first move until you make the first move, and then we will counter it back. And the third, we want to sending a very clear signals to these U.S. administrations. U.S. and China bilateral relationships need to be act under the three guiding principles China always mentioned since the very beginning of this administration. That's mutual respect, peaceful coexistence, and mutual benefit, which means first, we respect each other's core interest. So during this negotiation, we take TikTok, for example. China's side take consideration the reasonable requirement and the concerns from United States. And we providing a very creative framework to solve this so-called reasonable concern on national security, the protection of privacy, of personal sensitive information, and so on. While at the same time, we insist you need to respect the core commercial interest of companies like TikTok. They have the right to doing their business normally with other companies when obey the US legal systems. You should not take any coercive policies, try to get rid of their capitals from these companies and take unfair advantages. So that's a very, very classic examples. So I think it's a very comprehensive combos to United States. The first, his hegemonic habit has been deeply shocked. It's the first time a compelling, counterparts in these state levels say a very clear no to Washington side and make Washington find out he is not overwhelming powerful. He cannot act according to its own wills. He must learning how to respect other countries' core interest, the first. And the second, it's just proven the one of the most important pillar, the military capacity, the military industry of the United States. That's one of the most supporting pillars of US hegemony, has very obvious shortcomings. You just depend on those rare earth productions and the capacities and the technologies from mainland China side. Such kind of dependence is already developed into such kind of extension. You cannot afford that China just cut off the supply chain in one night. You will have huge problems. And the third, even though nowadays the globalizations, interdependence, all those, the world is flat, those terms used by those neoliberalisms already has been completed, forget in the United States. Some professor tell me that nowadays in the United States, the terms like engagement become as a political taboo. People did not want to mention it, just like it never happened. But the reality, China's retaliations send you a very clear reminder. The world, these two countries, still de facto interdependent with each other. The United States has lots of requirement from China of its, for example, rare earth capacities and productions. If you want to still have your own development, not mention those military side, but non-military side, your advanced chips, your advanced AI computing centers, you have stronger, more requirement from China's side than China's requirement from your side. So please cool down and finding back your reasonabilities, and then we can continue working together to push these bilateral relationships in a more healthy and correct tracks. That will be benefit for both sides and to the world.